What's up, y'all? What is up? What is up? How is everybody doing today, man? You already should know how it go. It is your boy B back with another video. If you guys haven't already, man, make sure you guys like, comment, and of course subscribe. We're gonna be going through the price list quickly. I wanted to bring this to you guys before the end of the month, and also I wanted to do it on a Friday because this is a perfect time for you guys to be buying phones. So let's make this very clear. Let me explain. If you are a phone flipper or you're somebody looking into phone flipping, let me tell you why let me tell you why at the end of the month you want to start buying phones. It's because people are starting to get ready to pay rent, pay a bunch of bills, and you want to be able to capitalize from that, okay? Now, the way you capitalize from this is by getting phones from people that are desperate for sales. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that people are going to be wanting to sell phones that they have in their drawers or whatever they choose to store the phones because they want to get extra cash. Now, when it comes to where I recommend phone flipping and I recommend you to go phone flipping, you guys should already know by now. It's OfferUp. So what we're going to do is we're going to not only go through the price list, but I'm going to go through a short listing phase on OfferUp as well, okay? Just to show you guys some of the best practices that I have, okay? Now, number one, the phone flipping buyers price list. We actually changed the name, okay? To change the name of the phone flipping price list is the buyer's price list. Buyers phone flipping price list. I am going to have a product price list as well coming up too, guys. So that's something really, really cool too. But when it comes to phone flipping, the buyer's price list, 50 phone flipping buyers on one price list. Real-time buyers price list. What they do is they usually give me price updates every Monday and every Thursday. And then we update the price list accordingly. All right. Now, when it comes to the price list, it's $90 lifetime access. I just had somebody that brought the first price list from me, hit me up and asked me for the link because I guess they lost it and they got a new phone. But it's crazy because you spend that $90 and you get it for the duration of life, obviously. And this price list isn't going anywhere, right? This is how I make a majority of my money, if I'm being transparent with you guys, is by utilizing the price list. So I can't let the price list fall, right? All right, so let's go over phones. We have new phones on the price list, used phones on the price list, Samsung phones on the price list, iCloud lock / blacklisted phones on the price list, iPads, Apple accessories, PlayStation 5, Xboxes, Nintendo Switches, Apple Watches, MacBooks. We got all of that, okay? Now, we're going to stick with the new phones and used iPhones, okay? So if I was somebody that was getting into the phone flipping game, right, I would want to price this like this, and let me explain to you why. All right, so when you first initially go into this field as far as phone flipping, one of the biggest problems I see a lot of people have is they don't know how to gauge what to spend on a phone. So what they end up doing is they go through the good old search browser of eBay, okay? And what they'll do is they're looking for an iPhone 16 price because they're trying to see what they should buy an iPhone 16 Pro Max for. They go here and they just start looking at these. Oh, 360. Okay, so an iPhone 16 or iPhone 14 is 360, but not an iPhone 16. Let's see. So iPhone 16 Pro Max, $984, $1,175. iPhone 16 Pro Max, $256, $989. So they start gauging the value of devices based upon what they see on eBay. But the reason I tell you guys not to do that is because you don't know who or where these people are that are selling these phones. Prime example, one that's just sold for $680.99. But then you have, I'm sure down here at some point somebody brought one for either higher or lower. Okay, lower, right? Am I tripping? No, lower. Because that one was $600. This one is $576. But see, this is unlocked. And also, I believe this is unlocked. So it's like, why did this sell for $680 and this only sell for $576? Let me tell you why. Because see, when it comes to eBay, it's all about the right timing, right price. It's all about right situation. It's all about circumstances. So circumstances rule everything. We don't want to gauge our prices on circumstances. That's why we use a buyer's price list, not a free price list. Now, a lot of people ask me, what's the difference between this price list right here, this price list, right? And a free price list. The difference is that this price list has 25 in the country and 25 international phone buyers. Instant offers, which means that you can utilize this price list to get offers from buyers, weekly price list updates, exclusive access to the phone flipping community. Buyers compete for your top deals. Okay, so we have buyers basically competing against each other, and I'll give you guys a really, really good example. Okay, now I can't show you guys the results from this week with the buyer's price list. I will have a video coming out about it, but right now I still have to like vent through all of them and make sure that we have all of them in an email file, because what we do is all the offers that you get with the buyer's price list, we make sure we keep on file just to ensure that you're getting your profit. Okay, but I'll give you guys a really good example right now. So if we're looking at an iPhone 16 Pro locked, right? A new iPhone 16 Pro locked, and let's say it's open. So you got an iPhone 16 Pro 128. So what happens with the price list is when you have this device, you're going to then, in the information tab, go and email the email that's in this tab. So in the information tab, it tells you exactly how to get in contact with the buyers. So you're going to email that email and say, hey, I got the iPhone 16 Pro 128 silver. IMEI is blah, 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 blah. Condition is open, activated, new. Perfect. So now what happens is we shoot that out to a whole bunch of buyers, okay? 50 buyers. And if I'm being honest, it's a little bit more than 50. It varies depending on what buyers want to participate that month. But it never goes lower than 50. But we do have some buyers, especially in the summertime, that want to get active, especially my people in New York and Virginia. I have a bunch of phone flippers in Virginia for sure, in Delaware. Those are the ones that pay the most. But those people, they're in and out, depending on their capital, depending on the market, right? But what happens is you see that 520 right here on that price list. So that guarantees you're going to make $520 or more. Now, the reason I say you're going to make $520 or more is because the price on the price list is market value, which means that is the bid start price. Okay, so when you look at the price list, you got to look and realize that all of these prices are not the prices that you should only expect. Let me explain to you. So I might have my guy in Virginia say, all right, I'll pay the $520. That might literally be what he says in the email. I'll buy it. And then you might have somebody that's in Baltimore that may say, no, I do $525. And then you might have somebody that's in Hawaii, which I only got like one buyer in Hawaii, and they might say, oh, I'll do $540 plus pay for shipping, right? So what ends up happening is they're saying, hey, Brandon, I want you to pay for shipping. I'll do the $540. So what I do, and this is why this is not a free price list, what I do is I'll pay for the shipping once you ship it to us. We'll pay for the shipping for it to get to Hawaii, okay? And that then you will get $540 because now we having buyers bid against each other. And that's the point of the price list. The point of the price list is to have multiple buyers starting at one price and then working their way up. Because what I've found phone flipping is that when I only had one buyer, I was putting myself in a box and people weren't respecting me. And a lot of phone flippers have this issue where they're not respected because they don't have connections. And if you're a phone flipper and you're phone flipping on a small scale, I want to tell you that's not the goal. The goal isn't just to be a small scale phone flipper. Prime example, I have 2 students that's in the community right now. One of them made a whole bunch of bad deals the first week he got in the community. I guess he got so excited that he got in the community. And when you get in the community, when you participate in the Hustler community, I give you the price list for free, right? So I gave him the price list, and I guess he got so excited, so he ended up just going out and just making offers on, I believe, Facebook Marketplace. And he ended up getting got. He brought like 2 phones that were locked, one that wasn't, and one that was unlocked, and all this other stuff, even some old phones. But he was able to have a meeting with me, and we were able to try to orchestrate with the buyer a deal so that he can actually recoup his money and start all over. And that's the beauty of the price list, okay? So I want to go over prices as far as what has changed. All right, so the iPhone 16 Pro Max 256 in new. We talk about new iPhones, all right? It's fairly the same. It went down $10, I believe. Yeah, I believe this was 900. And the only way or reason I can tell you it went down is obviously because a lot of people are buying phones and a lot of people are selling phones in certain areas. If they're not selling phones or people aren't putting phones on offer up in your area, it may be because they can't find stores to get phones, if I'm being real. But I'm going to tell you what this type of economy makes happen, all right? And I've seen this before. Scammers will start scamming. You feel me? Because, see, what ends up happening is when people need money, they want to get it by any means. Now, I don't want to put out too much information from the questions I've asked from scammers, but I will tell you this. They have new ways that they're getting phones, like ways I've never heard of. And it doesn't include any wireless storage. So if I was to guess, this summer is going to be a really lucrative summer when it comes to buying new phones. Because they have a really interesting way of getting phones now and being able to recoup their bread, which if they can recoup the money that they spend on the phone, then they won't be charging us too much, right? So that's a big deal. Now, the phones that are new that I would recommend you guys buying right now would definitely never be the iPhone 16 Pro Max, but I would say go ahead and get the iPhone 16, all right? If you can get an iPhone 16 locked, then you're winning. Because the iPhone 16 locked is low market value. So $315 open or $315 when it's sealed. Now, the reason I like buying phones that are the same price in these columns, the sealed, not activated, and open, not activated, is because I like to open phones no matter what. I don't buy phones that are sealed because right now, the way this world is working, you just never know, right? You just never know who's trying to get you or catch you slipping like a transmission. So you just got to be careful. I open all my phones. So to avoid them saying, oh my God, I'm going to get paid less. You're not going to get paid less if I open your iPhone 16. It's the same price no matter what. And if they say, oh no, that's just what your price list, that's not what mine, they lying. Because see, the beautiful thing about phone flipping is everybody is on the same accord. You'll rarely see miscommunication because the market is the market. The market is not something that changes. And if my buyer is buying phones for a certain amount, and let's say you find a buyer that may say they buying phones higher, guarantee you it'll probably be $10 higher or $20 higher, but it ain't going to be done crazy because the market is the market and everybody's trying to get bread and everybody's trying to just eat. Everybody's trying to get some meat off the bones. That's really what phone flipping is one person or a couple people are eating the majority and then everybody else is just scrapping, trying to get the rest of the meat or trying to get the rest of the money, from these transactions. So for new, I would recommend the iPhone 16. I would not recommend you to buy the iPhone 16e because the iPhone 16e is a little bit more higher than the iPhone 16 when it's sealed, and when it's open, obviously it's less. But the iPhone 16e doesn't do anything. Like it's not a phone that's at high demand. Now, another key thing as I'm talking that I look at when it comes to phone flipping, right? And it comes to like the price list in general, is I always look at phones or look for phones that I could easily sell if a buyer is offering me too low. I don't trust buyers, never will. That's why I have 50 plus, because buyers are very emotional. They are very unpredictable, and their moods change depending on the deal. So an iPhone 16, I know for a fact that we can sell. We can sell an iPhone 16 somewhere else, right? Like we're not stuck like we would be for an iPhone 16e. Because if you were trying to sell an iPhone 16e to a consumer, the consumer may not even know what the 16e does. They might not even know that a 16e is out. They might not want a 16e. They might want the iPhone 16. So that's why I stick with phones that are usually promoted more. I stick with phones that usually have a more of a ring to them. Because when you buy phones and you're trying to flip them, you can flip them two ways. Wholesale buyer, or you can go ahead and flip them when it comes to a price list. So that's a big, big key, okay? It is going to help you in the long run, but when you just buy off an impulse and buy trying to get whatever you can, it will end up hurting you, because when you sell to a consumer, the consumer may not want that phone. All right, so another phone that I would recommend buying would be the iPhone 15 Pro. That's 128. So iPhone 15 Pro 128 market value sealed is 390, open 300. Now that's a cheap behind price. Now remember, the reason why we're looking at buying these phones is not because we want to just settle for 390 or 300. It's because if I go and I buy a iPhone 15 Pro, when I go to sell it to a buyer, they're either going to pay me probably like 410, 420. But if I go to a consumer, they'll probably pay me 550. I probably can get $550 literally from an iPhone 15 Pro just off the name alone. Okay, and we're talking about a new one. Okay, we're not talking about a used one. So we got iPhone 16s to buy, iPhone 15 Pros to buy, and then I'm going to keep going to lower ticket ones. So another phone that I would say not to buy, 14 Pro Max, because it's fairly priced too high, especially when it comes to the fact that that is a phone that's 2 years older, and one phone model up from the iPhone 13 Pro Max, which is one of the most popular phones to resell because it has the SIM card tray. And if you're selling a phone with a SIM card tray, the selling potential is limitless, especially if you're looking to sell to consumers or wholesale buyers. A consumer is going to be way more trustworthy if they're buying an iPhone 13 Pro Max and can just slip their SIM card in. But I do want to say you can even swap SIM cards through people's devices using an eSIM method. It's easy. Just delete the eSIM and then install yours. But a lot of people don't know how to do it, and they're scared. And also, if you have Metro, Cricket, those type of companies, or Boost, right? If you have those type of companies, then those companies, you have to make sure that it's removed off of the account, because if that phone that you're buying is on that account, it could become a little bit harder or more difficult, because you start to have to like if you have a Metro phone, prime example, a Metro 14 Pro Max, if it's on an account, you got to get it removed off the account for them to be able to use it on Metro if you're selling it to a consumer. But a wholesale buyer shouldn't care. Okay, they don't care about what company a phone is on. So we got iPhone 16, we got the iPhone, what else? We got the iPhone 15 Pro, and then next we're gonna do the iPhone 14 Pro or 14 Pro Max locked, because when I look at the 14 Pro Max locked, that's $420. If I was to probably see the results from this week, which I can't get yet because my team hasn't sent me the list of people that have sold phones this week yet. I usually get that around like 5 p.m. But for right now, I will say a buyer probably would probably offer like $450 tops for an iPhone 14 Pro Max locked, but a consumer probably will offer the same amount. So that makes it easier for you to be able to sell to a wholesale buyer instead of a consumer. Remember, consumers are hurting for bread. Remember, we live in a time where people are not that, financially comfortable. So you got to get phones that are affordable to people. You can't go on the days where we just start listing $700 to $800 phones and just think that the consumer is going to just buy it fast, right? And then lastly, of course, buy the iPhone 13 Pro Max. But the problem is there's not a lot of new ones. You're not going to really find iPhone 13 Pro Maxes new at all. I don't even believe they make them anymore. All right, so used phones to buy. So as we see on the price list, the iPhone 16 Pro Max, you have the 256 went down to $750. Now, it didn't really go down. It's sort of kind of stagnant. Phones, especially used phones right now, will not move. They're not going to move. They haven't moved since January. They're not going to move. The reason they're not going to move is because we don't know the new iPhone that's going to be coming out. And when it comes to used phones, they usually hold their value, especially towards the beginning of the year, because people are just coming off of buying phones from Christmas. And people that are or have got them as a gift are still using the phone, right? There's no buyer's remorse right now. The buyer's remorse period would have been on January, okay? So you're rarely going to find anybody that wants to sell an iPhone 16 Pro Max used, and I'm talking about used like they used it themselves. You might find a few people that want to sell iPhone 16 Pro Maxes because it's after the 60 days. And again, if you don't remember, 60 days old phones are new. Thank you for the roses. I appreciate it. I really, really do. Thank you. Dirty Dan TV. I appreciate it. I said Dirty Dan TV. Dan TTV. I said dirty. My eyes is a bit, especially on TikTok, it'll be all of these dang numbers. Thank you so much, Dan TTV. So when it comes to the 16 Pro Maxes, I wouldn't recommend buying them because they are not really going to be that popular, not that easy to find. Like if we go on OfferUp right now and I look at iPhone 16 Pro Max, right? I'll find more new, I believe, than used. Yeah. So, you'll find some that got that Apple logo right here with the receipt, which I would definitely say to watch out for, because there are people out here scamming, acting as if they have a receipt. It's not hard to get a receipt. Okay. So what phone should you buy? So used phones always, and we're going to always start below. I would say buy any 13 series phone. They're going to be really hard to come by for a realistic price. So iPhone 13, right? You got somebody selling it for $250. Now, an iPhone 13 phone for $250 is actually very, very, very well priced. If you don't or do remember, iPhone 11s used to be really good for $250. Now iPhone 11s are no longer worth $250. The 13 has replaced the iPhone 11 as that low ticket phone. All right? Don't keep thinking that the iPhone 11s are the lowest ticket phones that you can get. And iPhone 11s are still valuable if you can actually get them and sell them to somebody. Now, somebody's not going to buy them for $300 or even $250 anymore because of the trajectory of the way the phone flipping industry is going. Currently, the iPhone 13, it has taken that spot. So the iPhone 13, again, is worth like $250. To buyers, it's worth less. Okay, so I would say buy anything 13 model because they're cheaper. Then I would say go ahead and buy an iPhone 14 Pro Max. Whether it's locked or unlocked, you can buy it. Prices aren't that different. You got a $50 difference in payout. So the iPhone 14 Pro Max unlocked 128 is worth $350. The iPhone Pro Max locked 128 is worth $300. Sounds about right. And yeah, okay. The next thing I would buy is the iPhone 15 Plus. The iPhone 15 Plus, I'm not a real big component of or fan of the Plus series, because the Plus series is a useless series to a lot of people, because there's not a lot of things you could do with the Plus series. And the Plus series is just a bigger version of the 15. So internationally, what I see is that they're not that popular, but you can get it at a lower price point, sell it to a consumer. All right, those are the phones I would really buy if I had the power to just pick. But let's actually see in my area what we could do. All right, so first thing I'm going to do, I'll make 5 offers. So I would type an iPhone first, okay? I would go and I would check off shipping. I want to just go to local. Instead of best match, I would say recent first. We're going to look, and I see an iPhone 13 Pro Max 256 for $500. Absolutely not. iPhone 14 Pro Max for $500. So now if I was you, I would go to the price list, iPhone 14 Pro Max, and I would see what the value is. So the value for the iPhone 14 Pro Max grade A plus is $350. Now, if we're talking about grades, the A plus means the phone has the box and it is in like new condition. Grade B plus means no box but in like new condition. Grade B means a few minor scratches here, no cracks. Cracks are when your fingernail goes inside of the scratch or said crack. And then C is crack, right? We don't buy no C. We rarely are ever going to buy B plus or A. Plus, it's always really going to be B, so I always judge it on that. So 310 is technically the price that I would say this is worth. I don't see any box, right? But what I'll say is if I know it was just posted an hour ago, I'm definitely going to swing for it. And I would say I can do, right? Instead of having a conversation, a dialogue, I jump right in with an offer. So I see that they want 500, which technically would mean they really want like 450 because everybody overprices on OfferUp. But what I would say is me knowing that the phone is only worth 310, I can't bid over myself or over the price list. So 310 I would start with. Now I know 310 is already a low number, so I'm not going to try to make the $50 profit. Instead, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and try to make a $30 profit, 280. So I say I can do 250. You don't have the box, right? This is on a account. Now watch how I just made an offer and then I just start asking questions. You ask questions to ensure that the person's response is hopefully going to come, because when you give a question, they become curious to why you're asking that question. Sometimes it comes out good and sometimes it's a bad result. iPhone 13 Pro Max 110 sounds like a false or okay. The SIM card is locked. It's just collecting dust. I'm ready to get rid of it. I am negotiating the price. So here I would ask, what are you talking about? The SIM card is locked, right? That's what I would ask. But what I'm going to say is I can do $90. Are you saying that the phone is, watch this, iCloud locked or just carrier locked? Now, let me explain why I'm saying this. Because if this phone is locked and he's saying it's just collecting dust, but he's saying it's SIM locked, I mean, there's nothing wrong with a SIM locked phone. Because a SIM locked phone would be a phone that's just literally tied to a carrier. We can buy those. But the way he put it makes me think it's something else. All right, let's do one more. iPhone 13 is a perfect one because this is what I would recommend you guys to flip right now because it's so cheap. So iPhone 13 128 midnight. Can y'all believe these used to go for 400? All right, so I would say I can do 180. This is on a account still, right? Ask that question and do it right just to make them agreeable. Get that answer, then start to actually pitch. Okay? Learn how to negotiate. I just had a whole discussion with somebody yesterday on live where they were trying to tell me that they use Facebook ads. And they were asking me, well, are you trying to scare people because you said Facebook ads don't work? No, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just letting you know that doing it the organic way is going to always warrant you better results, okay? Because you're not depending on anything. All right, guys, that's going to be the update. Thank you so much for watching. I made a smooth 30 minutes, about to hit 31 minutes. So I'm going to get off, guys. Thank you so much. Make money work for you. Don't